city of Melbourne was always a productive place for Martina Navratilova. She won the Australian Open 3 times. Of course, that's only in singles. She won 8 more Aussie titles in doubles and won in mixed in 03 with Mr. Leander Paes. Time span between her first Aussie title and her last, 23 years. And we are very pleased to welcome Hall of Famer and our Tennis Channel sister-in-arms, Martina Navratilova, back to TC Live. How's everything going in South Florida, Martina?
It's going. I thought I would bring my my sidekick here, Abby, as a distraction to my really, really lousy hair. Where is Erin when you need her? Makeup, never mind. And I also wore my Australian T-shirt. One of those artists, one of those Aboriginal artists. I actually bought that at the airport a few years ago. It's one of my favorite T-shirts. So here we are.
Hey, Martina, I have to ask you, back when the Australian Open was played as the 4th major of the year over Christmas on grass, you skipped, I think one time you told me you skipped about 15 of them. The difference between how important the Australian Open is now compared against when you played, it's night and day. It sounds funny that you only won 3 of them, but you skipped a lot of them.
We skipped a lot. Chris didn't go there as well. Didn't even go to the French Open a bunch of years as well. We were playing World Team Tennis. I mean, the majors, it was really Wimbledon, the US Open, and then the season-ending championships, the Virginia Slims Championships, whatever, WTA Finals. That was the 3rd biggest tournament of the year for us back then. It all changed when Philippe Chatrier started pushing the French Open more. And then the Australian Open, the women brought it into limelight in that we separated from the men because the men were we were not getting on center court until the finals, literally. I played Margaret Court on outside court. My first match on center court was semifinals of the Australian Open in 74 and then 75, and I lost to Ivan in the finals. We split up from the men, and we said we're going on our own. We got a big sponsorship. I think Toyota was a sponsor back then, and we really built it up. And the men actually came to us, because that's relevant to our conversation later, I think, about WTA and ATP. The men came to us and said, oh, can we join you guys? Because we built up the tournament so much, they wanted to play with us. So we said, okay, we can have you guys together with us at the Australian Open as long as we get equal billing and equal prize money, which meant equal time on the main major courts and equal prize money. And that's what happened back in like 80, 81, I think. And that's when we came back. Chris and I went back to Australia for the first time in 81 and played each other in the finals that year.
Oh, man. I just feel like, and it's true of Chrissy as well, you guys didn't live and die on the majors. And God bless Serena and the guys who are, piloting up all those majors. But I just feel like you two end up getting underserved, along with other players, for it not being such a big deal. I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, well, this is why the comparisons by majors only is a false comparison, because for us it wasn't the same importance at all by lieu of not even going down to Australia, not going to Paris. So it's different times, and that's okay. We played a lot of tournaments. On the average, I played about 20 tournaments a year, 18, probably the least that I've played in a year. And that's how it was. We supported the tour. Also, back then, again, the prize money wasn't that good. You played over 2 weeks. In a typical Virginia Slims event, the winner would get $50,000, let's say. And the major would be $30,000, $40,000 for 2 weeks' work. So it didn't make sense economically. And it didn't make sense importance-wise, because our tournaments here in the States were bigger than going anywhere else.
Have you heard the news today from Craig Tiley, the Australian Open head? He's already planning on perhaps next year not having anything but Australian Open fans and quarantine players. He's already looking ahead to the fact that the Australian Open will look very different from how it's long looked. How do you feel about that? Would you, if you were a player right now, would you be traveling around?
Oh, I would not be traveling around, but I think if you can find a safe way to do it where people get tested, which is what I've been talking about for a while now, if you can have like a testing passport and you say, okay, today I'm safe, I can play, I can show up. Same for fans. If you can have that kind of a quick testing capability, then you can open it to the fans that are negative, that are safe to be around. It would be difficult to imagine playing tournaments with no fans at all, even if it is safe for the players and the people that are there working the tournament. At the same time, when you play matches, many more people will see it on TV than actually in person. So what are we playing tennis for? Is it the people that are there, or is it for the world? But the atmosphere, of course, would be so different if literally you hit a great shot and maybe the cameraman will applaud if it's a really great shot, but there's nobody else there. So you just have, but again, champions are self-motivated. We work just as hard whether there is 10 people watching or 50,000 people watching, but it's just different. We will not ever probably be normal like we used to be unless there's a vaccine, and that seems to be a long way off. So I'm glad to hear that Craig is thinking that far ahead and making plans and make sure that the tournament happens. Again, the big money comes from the sponsors and the big money comes from TV, not from the people that actually come to watch. But it would be a shame to play without fans. Hopefully they can figure out a way to make it as public as possible.
We are joined on TC Live by the legend and our TC pal, Martina Navratilova. You have been, even though, as Mary pointed out, you skipped the tournament a bunch of times, you've been to Australia a gazillion times. The very first time you played in the main draw was 1975. I think you were 18 or maybe 19 at the time, and you made the final in your very first main draw. What are your memories of that first trip and of that tournament?
That's a long story, but it was over Christmas and New Year's. So it started in 74, ended in 75. I went by myself. I traveled for 40 hours by Czech Airlines all the way to Jakarta, about 10 stops, and then finally made it to Adelaide and then Melbourne, and played Adelaide, Sydney, and then Melbourne. I stayed in a hotel with the Russians, which over Christmas is not a good thing because Russians don't celebrate Christmas. So I was all by myself doing laundry on Christmas Day. But I needed to get like to the quarters of the tournament, so I would make enough money to pay my ticket to the States, because then the Virginia Slims Tour started in January in San Francisco, and I needed to make enough money for an airline ticket. So I did. I got to the finals, and guess how much money I got for getting to the finals of the Australian Open, which is why we didn't go there. $6 grand, $6,000. Ivan got $12,000 for winning. So that's why it wasn't that important. Nobody really paid that much attention. Yeah.
Let me ask you, how much attention are you paying to what the players are doing, the Player Relief Fund, trying to support the lesser players in this unknown time? Have you been, I know how generous you are. I can only imagine how many things you've donated to. But what about the players?
Well,
how do you feel about
my donations have been more local and relevant in that encouraging people to make masks for health workers, etc. But I think it's great that we're doing this as a sport to support the players that are not so lucky yet. They haven't had a chance to make it yet. We do realize that tennis is a luxury sport. Playing sport for a living is a luxury. At the same time, sport is such a big part of our lives. We didn't know what we didn't have until we don't have it. Now it's like missing, watching replays of everything on all the sports channels. So I think it's great that tennis has come together and kind of try to make a difference early on, and hopefully we'll hear some good stories about this years down the road when a player said, I thought I was going to have to quit everything, but I got this check in the mail from the player fund and made all the difference for me. So it's a good step in the right direction.
Martina, we're going to let you go, but before we do, any other animals or artwork that you want to share from the house?
Come here.
Oh, Lulu's here.
Oh, artwork, yeah. Lulu, come here, Lulu. Artwork, yeah. I've been making some pieces with tennis balls in my spare time, which I have plenty of. Some black and white.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's so hot here in Florida already. Lulu, come here. Lulu doesn't want to make it. Oh, here she comes. Come here, Lulu.
She's very temperamental.
Gonna make an appearance on Tennis Channel.
There's our baby.
There's Lulu. There's
Hi,
Lulu.
sweetie. She makes all the trips with us on tennis. We know Lulu really well.
Yeah. She has a badge and everything. Anyway, it's been interesting, and onwards and upwards, and enjoy watching you guys. So good luck to us all.
Marty, we miss you. We love you. We'll see you soon. Stay safe, okay?
All right.